If you're lost in life, start doing this every day. If you feel stuck, lost, or unsure where your life is heading, there's one habit you should start building immediately. Document yourself. And no, I don't mean you need to start writing a traditional diary every night. Done correctly, journaling is much more powerful than that. It's a way to step outside your own mind and actually see yourself clearly. Where is your time going? What are you actually doing every day? What results are you getting? And most importantly, where is the real problem? You can write things down, record your thoughts as voice notes, or even make short videos talking to yourself. The format doesn't matter. What matters is that you leave a record of what you're doing and experiencing. Because human beings are incredibly good at forgetting their own behavior. You fail at something, and a few days later, you forget about it. You work hard for one afternoon, and suddenly you tell yourself, "I've been working really hard lately." Then tomorrow comes. And you go right back to living exactly the same way. But once you start documenting your life, it's much harder to lie to yourself. You'll start seeing exactly where you're procrastinating, where you're wasting time, and which things make you feel productive without actually producing meaningful results. Things that once felt vague suddenly become measurable. And that's why you need to understand these 5 powerful benefits of documenting your life. 1. Documentation creates a feedback loop for growth. Every day, ask yourself 4 simple questions. What did I do today? What was the result? What problems did I encounter? What will I do differently tomorrow? That's it. It sounds almost too simple. But if you do it consistently, you'll start discovering patterns in your own behavior. Take weight loss. Someone might say, "I really want to lose weight." But they never record what they eat. Someone else says, "I want to learn a new skill." But they never track how much time they actually spend practicing. Another person says, "I want to make more money." But they have no idea where their hours are going every day. Then 6 months pass. The weight hasn't changed. The skill hasn't improved. The income hasn't increased. And they start blaming bad luck. But maybe luck isn't the problem. Maybe they simply don't know what they're doing with their time. If you don't know where you're going wrong, how can you fix it? Documentation gives you something incredibly valuable. Feedback. You stop relying on how you feel you're doing. And start looking at what you're actually doing. 2. Documentation turns problems into data. There are people who look incredibly hardworking from the outside. They're always busy. Always tired. Always complaining that they don't have enough time. Yet years pass. And they're still in exactly the same place. Why? Because they only have the feeling that they're working hard. They don't have the data. A friend of mine used to constantly complain. "I'm working so hard, but I'm barely making any money." So one day, he decided to track exactly how he spent his time. The results shocked him. He discovered that he was spending less than 2 hours a day on genuinely important work. The rest went to messaging people, watching videos, random conversations, checking his phone, procrastinating, and doing meaningless tasks. He wasn't lazy. But he was misallocating his effort. Once he saw the truth, he changed his schedule. He cut unnecessary activities. He focused on high-value work. And over the following months, his income increased dramatically. He didn't suddenly become smarter. He simply stopped guessing. And started looking at reality. That's what documentation does. It turns vague feelings into measurable information. 3. Documentation reduces anxiety and improves focus. Do you know why uncertainty can be so exhausting? Because you don't know what's coming next. You don't know whether what you're doing is working. You don't know whether you're moving forward or standing still. And that uncertainty creates anxiety. Documentation can give your life something like a progress bar. For example, this week I ran 2 more miles than last week. A task that used to take me 3 hours now takes me 1. Today is day 20 of going to bed before 11 p.m. These numbers may seem tiny. But when you look back after several weeks, you can actually see yourself moving forward. And that feeling matters. Because even if you're progressing slowly, knowing that you're moving is very different from feeling completely lost. There's another powerful benefit. If you struggle with distractions, start documenting your thoughts when they appear. You're working. And suddenly you want to check your phone. Write it down. I really want to check my phone right now. You're reading. And your mind suddenly wanders. Right. I'm losing focus. You're working on something important. And suddenly you want to quit and scroll social media. Write that down too. The goal isn't to suppress the thought. The goal is to observe it without immediately obeying it. Over time, you'll discover something incredibly important. Not every thought deserves an action. Once you learn to observe your thoughts instead of automatically following them, your ability to concentrate can gradually become much stronger. 4. Documentation helps you discover your personal formula for success. A lot of things look like luck from the outside. But if you track them long enough, you often discover patterns. Imagine a salesperson whose performance is average. Instead of simply working harder, they start documenting every customer. Which customers respond? What did they say? What questions did they ask? Which approach worked? When was the best time to follow up? Which type of message produced the strongest response? After a couple of months, patterns begin to appear. They discover which customers deserve more attention. They discover which communication strategies work. They discover when to follow up. And eventually, they stop relying on intuition alone. They're now working from a personal playbook. That's the real power of documentation. It allows you to connect. Action, behavior, result. Without records, you might try something today, something completely different tomorrow, and something else next week. You'll stay busy. But you'll never know what actually works. Documentation allows you to turn experience into a system. And once you have a system, you can repeat success instead of constantly starting from zero. 5. The best documentation system is the simplest one. Here's where most people make a mistake. They turn journaling into another complicated project. They buy expensive notebooks. Download productivity apps. Create complicated templates. And eventually, they stop doing it. You don't need any of that. The best system is the one you'll actually use. You can write for 5 minutes. Record a voice note. Or open your phone camera and talk to yourself for a few minutes. You don't need perfect grammar. You don't need beautiful writing. You don't even need to organize everything perfectly. Just be honest. Ask yourself. Where did my time go today? What did I accomplish? What didn't get done? What did I learn? What distracted me? Why did I feel frustrated today? What should I do differently tomorrow? That's enough. And there's another interesting benefit to recording yourself on video. You don't just see your thoughts. You can also see your communication. How do you speak? How often do you pause? Do you ramble? Does your facial expression match your words? Do you look confident? Do you avoid eye contact with the camera? You may discover things about yourself that you never noticed before. The truth is, you might look back after a month and realize you're actually getting worse in certain areas. And that's okay. Because at least now you know. Knowing that you're struggling is far better than spending 5 years wondering why nothing is changing. The people who transform their lives aren't necessarily the smartest people in the room. They're often the people who understand themselves the best. They know where their time goes. They know their strengths. They know their weaknesses. They know what isn't working. And they know what needs to change. The scariest thing isn't failure. It's living on autopilot for 5 years. Then looking back and realizing nothing has changed. While having no idea where to begin. So remember this. Documenting your life isn't about proving anything to anyone else. It's about becoming impossible to fool. Especially by yourself. Start today. You don't need to change your entire life overnight. Just document your life for 30 days. At the end of those 30 days, look back. You may discover patterns you never knew existed. You may see progress you didn't realize you were making. And most importantly, you'll finally have something that most people never develop. A clear picture of who you are, and where you need to go next. 1 year from now, you'll probably be grateful that you started today. I'm Emotional Stopover, and I'm here to help you become a better version of yourself, one day at a time. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss our future content on psychology, communication, self-improvement, and personal growth. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.